Hi, I'm Dan from the Rock Nerd Radio Show. Welcome back to the channel. You know, I took a look at every single one of the X-Men 97 Wave 2 Marvel Legends figures. And now I thought, you know what? Since I got the whole wave, let's compare them all, rank them from my least favorite to my personal favorite, and just kind of share my thoughts on the wave. I'd love for you to watch this and then tell me what you think about this wave. Did you get everybody? Let's get into it and see what we think.
Come geek out with us on the Rock Nerd Radio Show.
All right, so let's kick it off with the number 6 figure in this wave, because it is a wave of 6 figures. So my personal least favorite figure of the wave is the Jean Grey figure. You know, I have a number of Jean Grey figures in my collection, and honestly, if you don't have a Jean for your collection that fits like the 90s costume aesthetic, this might be the one you want to go with, but I feel like I have a far superior one in my collection. So she's probably my least favorite. Honestly, she was the one I didn't even think I was going to buy when they announced the wave. I just I was like, since I'm getting everybody else, I'll get her. So, you know, it just looks very toyetic, or cartoony toyetic, and it's just not something that I feel like I needed to own. So she is at the bottom. She's the number 6. And I'm not trying to say she's bad, just my personal least favorite, which would bring me to my number 5 pick. And a little surprising because I do like the costume, but I gotta give it to Magneto. And the reason why I'm giving it to Magneto is it's kind of just a boring figure. We get an additional angry head sculpt. We have extra hands, but the lack of effects on this figure are really killing me. And as I mentioned in my quick review of the figure, I don't love this cape. I feel like it kind of inhibits his head movement. I feel like it kind of just doesn't work well with the figure. So Magneto is going to be my number 5. Just a plain figure in my opinion. So there we go. My number 4 is going to be perhaps a controversial one, but it is Goblin Queen. And you know, the reason why I picked her is for all the reasons I mentioned in my review that are still kind of holding true now. I have a lot of trouble standing this figure up. She's crouched now in kind of an action pose and really leaning on the cape, relying on that for stability. On the camera, it actually looks like a pretty good pose. From where I'm sitting, it almost looks like she's looking down. And, you know, just not my favorite way to have to pose a figure. As I mentioned, she doesn't have a lot of forward diaphragm movement. It's there, but there's not a ton of it. Like you can just see from the side. Like this is as far forward as she can go. It appears to be more because the head can't really look up. It's always kind of looking down. So there is that. But putting in her pose like this kind of makes it look like she's using her powers, that, you know, she's in an action pose. So there are some good things about this one. I made a custom Goblin Queen figure that is more comic accurate. That is going to be still on my main comic X-Men shelf. This one I think I might actually put with the Krakoan Age Marvel Legends figures that I have, just because she did pop up in that. It's a little more of a reserved costume at times, maybe not quite as reserved as this, but she ended up helping Ben Reilly become Chasm, and you know, created Hollow's Eve. So they might all kind of be like a team, as it were, on my shelf. I might have them all standing together. So she is the number 4 pick, and you know, I will leave the first 3 just kind of back here, spread them out a bit so you can see them. That brings me to the number 3 pick, and the number 3 pick is actually a figure that I quite like. It is the X-Cutioner. And I really dig this figure. As I said, the hard plastic scarf and stuff does kind of get in the way at times. You know, it would be nicer if this were soft goods and it could really, you know, move around it. But you can still pose this guy pretty well. You know, you can kind of hook his arm around it, so it just kind of sits like that. And that's where I'm at with this. I did find out, I have seen a couple more reviews since I put this out, and I actually found out that I was trying to put his gun in this hand, and it will actually fit in his right hand. And you know, that's why the trigger finger is, you know, looks the way it does, and it does fit better than I originally realized. But I like this Mega Man Sentinel blaster here. So X-Cutioner is number 3 in my favorites of this wave, which would bring me to my number 2. And my number 2 is Nightcrawler, and I do have him as he came out of the box here. I am debating, as I mentioned in my review, putting the other Nightcrawler head from one of the other Nightcrawler figures on him, because I do like that head a little better. Someone even suggested just popping off the arms and the legs and sticking them on an old Nightcrawler head, or an old Nightcrawler body. That way the tail will match the face color perfectly. But, you know, I do like this figure. I love the articulation, and it's just really missing a hand-holding sword. If this were the only Nightcrawler we ever got, it would have been damn near perfect. But now the trailers are starting to hit as we get closer to the show that show Nightcrawler teleporting and using a sword. Really, Nightcrawler should have come with that weapon. The exclusion of that is kind of unforgivable, but I still really do like the figure. Which brings me to the number 1, and you've probably already guessed it. It is Cyclops, and if Cyclops looks a little different to you here, it's because I put the old Jim Lee Warlock Wave head on this Cyclops, because I think that head just looks a hell of a lot better. So that's why he has it. But the figure overall, head swap aside, I think is the best figure here. I love that all this stuff is keyed on now, all that extra detail. It just looks that much better to me. So yeah, so here is the entire wave. Once again, is Jean Grey, then Magneto, then Goblin Queen, then X-Cutioner, then Nightcrawler, and then Cyclops. So that is the wave for me in my order of least favorite to most favorite. Not saying that any of these are bad. I think Jean Grey is the only one that I'm just kind of on. But for the most part, a pretty solid wave. I'm glad I got all 6 of them. And now I am ready and officially looking forward to X-Men 97. I hope you are as well. Let me know what you think of this entire wave, what your ranking is of the figures. Did you get all of them? Did you not get all of them? I would love to find out. And until next time, hey, I've been Dan. You've all been pretty awesome. And I'll see you around.